What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. We officially reached the college football playoff semifinals. So today, I'm going to be ranking all four of their offenses. I already ranked the head coaches. I already power ranked the team. So today, we're going to be looking at the offense. Then later on, we'll be looking at the defenses. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started here. Join me down in the comment section. Let me know your rankings while I move along. Number 4, we've got Notre Dame. Okay. Notre Dame offensively not too explosive. And that's kind of why they're at number 4 here. Just for more of a lack of down the field air attack. Points per game, they're averaging 37.7 points per game, 406.6 yards per game. They've scored over 46 times this season. Now, it's a little jaded because they haven't necessarily played the toughest schedule. But weapon-wise, they're led by Jeremiyah Love and Leonard. Jeremiyah Love, running back, over 1,000 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns. And then Leonard, true dual threat quarterback, 31 total touchdowns, kind of split midway through passing and rushing. And that's why, again, they're at number 4 here. Not really too much besides them. They don't have really receivers or tight ends, down the field threats. Leonard is just a dual threat, so that helps their passing game because he can take off running a little bit. But Jeremiyah Love got banged up in that last game. It's going to be tough this game. We're going to see how they can do without him at running back. If he does play, I've heard he's been limited in practice. So we'll see. But without him, they're going to be in trouble probably. But coming to number 4, Notre Dame. Number 3, we've got Texas, really inconsistent this year. At times, they've looked really good on offense. At times, they've looked really pedestrian. Points per game, 34.3. Yards per game, 443.9. And they've scored over 44 times. Weapon-wise, they've got a little more down the field than Notre Dame did. But what Notre Dame lacks in passing, Texas sometimes lacks in rushing. Now, last game, basically, they couldn't run the ball at all. Weapon-wise, though, they do have Quinn Ewers, over 3,000 yards passing. Gunnar Helm at tight end, 58 receptions. He's going to be key for them in this game. If he can get going, I think they have a shot. Matthew Golden, over 900 yards receiving. He's pictured here. Really, their only downfield threat they've had in the playoff is Golden. They just forced it to him a lot. Then Tre Wisner, over 1,000 rushing yards. They also have Jadon Blue. Wisner has been impressive at times. Last game, they didn't even really try to get him going. Against Clemson, though, I thought he did a good job. But against Georgia, last game against Arizona State, against better teams, they have struggled to run the ball. I don't know if that's on the offensive line. I don't know if it's on the running backs. But number 3, we've got Texas just because really the weapons they have listed here, I'm not too impressed with them. They kind of lack some weapons that other teams do have. Because as good as Gunnar Helm is, he's not as good as another tight end we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Then receiver-wise, Matthew Golden, yeah, he's pretty good, but he's not as good as some of the other receivers we're going to talk about. Tre Wisner, same thing at running back. So number 3, Texas. Number 2, Penn State. So they actually do have some weapons. Their offense isn't necessarily the most productive because that's just not their game style. They like to run the ball. They like to play defense. That's how Penn State wins games. But points per game wise, 33.7. Yards per game, 436.3. And they've scored over 43 times. So not just the most explosive offense, but they've got weapons all over the field. First off, quarterback Drew Allar, over 3,000 passing yards. He's a pretty good NFL draft prospect. Whether he comes out this year or waits till next year, he's got some serious arm talent, and he can run a little bit. Running back-wise, they've got 2 running backs that are really good. Kaytron Allen, over 1,000 rushing yards. Nicholas Singleton, over 1,000 rushing yards as well. Really dynamic backfield there with those 2 running backs. And then tight end Tyler Warren, you can argue the best tight end in the country. Definitely not even really an argument. Over 1,000 receiving yards as a tight end. That's putting up serious production here. He is going to be a first-round NFL draft pick. The dude is an animal. And Penn State, with all those weapons, you would think their offense will be a little better, actually. But I've got them coming in number 2 just because they have potential here, but that's just not really the way they play. All right, number 1, Ohio State. They've got by far the most weapons out of any of these 4 teams left. A lot of these teams are more defensive teams. Penn State defense, Ohio State even defense, but Texas and Notre Dame defense as well. Ohio State, though, points per game, 36.4 points per game, 432.5 yards per game. Scoring-wise, over 44 times. They've got some serious deep threats, which is why they had no business losing to Michigan. They just tried to pound them all game instead of letting it rip. When you've got 2 receivers that they have, you air that thing out. Weapon-wise, they've got Will Howard, over 3,000 passing yards, almost 3,500. Has looked really good in the playoff. Running back-wise, TreVeyon Henderson, 10 rushing touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins, 10 rushing touchdowns as well. Really good dynamic duo there, similar to Notre Dame. Penn State. And then receiver Jeremiah Smith. They also have receiver Emeka Egbuka. He's an awesome number 2. Jeremiah Smith, though, future number 1 pick, probably at least a top 5 draft pick. Over 1,000 receiving yards, and he is almost unstoppable, or he has been in these last few games. But the number of weapons Ohio State has is almost unstoppable, because if you're stopping Henderson, they're going to put in Judkins. Will Howard, he's a good dual threat guy. He can run, he can pass. They've got Egbuka and Smith down the field. They've got weapons all over the place. That's why they come in at number 1. But how would you rank these offenses? Let me know down in the comment section. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.